shit. Hopefully this doesn't fucking... Okay, we're good. Perfect. Jack, you ready to roll?
Go for it, man.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very good, bro. You look very, very good. I love the environment.
Thank you, man. Likewise. Looks like you're in a jungle or something back there.
Bro, it's my backyard. I'm blessed so much, like so much. I can hear the birds sing while I record my podcasts. I'm grounded. I have my dog laying next to me. Getting the evening sunlight close to me as well. Man, we are so chill. I have no better way of recording a podcast than this way.
It's perfect. It's perfect studio, man.
Yeah. How's your short morning been?
Yeah, it's been good. Sort of woke up like an hour ago. And then, just sort of went for a walk. Did a bit of movement. Sort of had a check up on my phone. And then, straight into it, basically. So, it's still nice and early here. The sun's sort of just...
Yeah.
maybe just about hitting the UVA rise as we speak. So yeah, getting there. But it's been awesome, man.
Beautiful angle. Are you up or sitting down?
I'm sitting down at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't have a standing desk. Quite limited with the furniture at this place.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
I've only been here for probably it's almost been a month now, I suppose.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, the landlord kind of moved me in and didn't have any furniture. So she's just like, oh, just pick what you want. What do you need? And send it through. So maybe I'll order a standing desk at some point.
Thailand, right?
Vietnam.
Vietnam, right. Duh.
Yeah. So quite close. Close.
How's your day-to-day over there?
Yeah, it's very chill, man. Like, this is my 5th time here. I really love it. I feel very safe here. But yeah, very much the last 3 or 4 times. Well, I sort of lived in another city just 45 minutes from here. That was very much like a city, but very beautiful beaches and stuff. But here, more so, I'm at like a bit more of a rural local area. Kind of got chickens and cows surrounding me. I know like the villagers, the locals, like, we trade like
Oh, wow.
and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty raw. But yeah, it's just working. A few cafes nearby and stuff like that as well. And then yeah, there's a beach maybe like 10 minutes away as well, which is also great. I try to get down there a lot. But yeah, no, it's very, very relaxed here, man. I have a lot of time on my hands, which is great.
Beautiful.
It's awesome.
Dude, you have no clue how excited I am for this podcast. It's been like a month since I recorded an episode. And what a way to get back to it.
Amazing, man.
Give me a second. My brother's probably gonna fuck around. Give me a second.
Yeah, you're all right. Take your time.
Yeah, I'm cutting that one out. My brother loves to do that.
How old is he?
Huh?
How old is he?
He's 15. I'm 18. Yeah.
Nice.
We do this to each other all the time, but it's great. Jack, let's get right into it. I'd love for you to give the folks who are tuning in today a little bit on who you are, what you're doing, what do you do. Kind of we can get into like what got you here today.
Sure. Yeah, so I guess starting from the start, well, I'm a health coach / sort of nutritionist. So I work with clients online, working with them, either one-off sort of like consultations or sometimes even for like 3 to 6 months sort of thing, depending on symptoms and what their goals are and stuff like that. The reason I got here today was I had my own health issues. Very much, I lived in a city called Melbourne in Australia, and it was very much like a party sort of city. So yeah, lots of drugs and alcohol. I think I sort of had a bit of anxiety fueled behind that as well. Maybe some sort of stress and trauma that I didn't really deal with properly, and it was more of like a clutch or sort of as like a coping mechanism. Anyway, so yeah, I sort of went through that, and I think I sort of hit a tipping point around the pandemic. I think a lot of people sort of hit a wall there.
Yeah.
I was actually very grateful for, because it sort of, sort of set me on my journey to optimal health. From that then on, I was very curious. Sort of had some doctors and stuff like that, endocrinologists, like hormone specialists, because my testosterone was equivalent to like a 70-year-old. So yeah, I was feeling pretty shit, as you would imagine. And then yeah, like I sort of just got chased around by them, got put on some stupid medication, and nothing really seemed to resolve until I sort of started to tweak my own curiosity and sort of like did a bit of my own research, kind of looked at some alternative sort of things, some alternative approaches, and yeah, like I just sort of removed a lot of the toxic stuff out of my life, and my health started to improve a lot. And I was like, wow, holy shit. Like, I was like, I didn't realize you could feel this good.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I sort of was working a job as a electrical linesman, which is like someone who works on power lines, which is it was a pretty cool job. Like, got to work outdoors, stuff like that. But yeah, very much just in the system, very much just working for a company with like 5,000 people. And it was just something I didn't really see myself doing for the rest of my life. So yeah, like about a year ago, literally a year ago today, I left Australia and sort of went traveling throughout the world and trying to find a place to sort of live and sort of set up my business. Um, and at the moment, it happened to be Vietnam for the time being. So yeah,
Beautiful. Like I said on the call, kind of joked around it. That like what were you an electrical?
electrical linesman. So like I
Yeah.
would work on like the big power lines.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you get to like climb them sometimes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun. And then like, you do a lot of like kind of shift work where you'd be, if the power goes out for someone, you would get called out and you'd go and fix it
Yeah.
at any time of the night, sort of thing. So
Like I said,
yeah,
that job kind of gave you skin in the game for what you're into right now, which is kind of like light water and magnetism, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. But it is pretty crazy to think that, yeah, sometimes we would work on, well, a lot of the time we would work on like live electricity with like
Yeah.
just like our bare hands, or just like some insulated gloves. And that can be like 240 volts, which is just like the low voltage. But we also work on like the high voltage stuff sometimes too, which was like 22,000 volts. So yeah, the non-native EMF going through there would be pretty gnarly, I think. You could literally feel it when you grab the cable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like even if you put like a tool on the cable on the high voltage one, it like just starts crackling, and you can
Mm,
sort of, if it's dark, you can sort of see it buzzing. And then yeah, you're grabbing it and you can literally like feel the energy coming through you
yeah.
essentially.
That's crazy, dude. So working with this health journey, um, what was maybe not like a specific moment, but what woke you up to make it change, right? Living that lifestyle, did you see something? Did something specifically happen to you?
When I was in Australia,
Yeah.
I think it honestly just all synergized together. I think look, I think I probably had very low dopamine throughout most of my 20s, just because of the abuse of drugs and alcohol, and all that other stuff. So I think it just like when my dopamine sort of restored, I sort of just like could think clearly basically, and
Well,
really envisioned what I wanted in life, more so than just plodding along at running at like 60% capacity and just
mhm.
working and, living for the weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
I don't think
beautiful.
there was like a definitive point, but yeah, it was very much, yeah, just like that synergy of like optimal health and
Hmm.
yeah, just thinking clearly.
You must be so grateful for where you are today. No?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I'm grateful every day, honestly. Like,
Hmm.
it's sometimes it still doesn't even feel real, and I suppose like sometimes you can just like go through the motions and just be like not appreciating where you are,
Hmm.
and how far you've come. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Like being able to live in a country like this is just amazing, and I've sort of envisioned this for a good couple of years now.
Wow,
Yeah, so no, it's truly amazing.
that's beautiful, dude. Over 500 days of sobriety, right?
Yeah, so I think 2 years now, over two
Wow.
years. Yeah, I've sort of stopped counting now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very much been a while. And yeah, if you saw me before, like I was
Wow.
definitely like a very much different person in terms of like when I was partying and all that sort of stuff.
What
So,
was kind of like the biggest takeaway from that sobriety journey?
um, yeah, I mean, relating back to that other question, like it's just restoring your dopamine, restoring your health. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just being able to think clearly, being able to, um, not let something control you, and you can just run your own show and do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You have more motivation, more drive, more purpose, and I think all of those things together really, really aided in the journey.
What can you share for folks going through the same thing? And maybe an easier question would be like, what would have told yourself 3 years ago if you encounter that person?
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's tricky because it's you really the whole modern world's out to get you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard. Like if it's like not one thing, it could be another thing. Um, so yeah, it's
Right.
very understanding the mechanisms behind that and like really understanding that the modern world is there to rob your dopamine at every single corner.
Yeah.
Um, and being able to just sort of harness that. So, you've really got to build up, just the natural approaches such as, getting the sunlight and stuff like that, sleeping well,
Mm-hmm.
addressing any stress or trauma, I think is huge as well. Really just rewiring the brain and body just to be able to sort of have that foundation there where you don't feel like doing that sort of stuff as much. But yeah, it's very much like there's always going to be some sort of discomfort initially. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
inevitable. And I think like maybe for the first month, sometimes even the first couple of months, there's like some definite discomfort, like you're definitely like removing something and like, you'll get cravings and stuff like that.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, it's very much just like addressing the fundamental stuff and then, just working through that and keeping on top of that. And then, yeah, like slowly removing the stuff that is harmful to you, such as the drugs, alcohol, vapes, and all that sort of stuff. And just understanding the mechanism that there is discomfort, but it is part of the journey.
Right. So from rewiring your brain, I guess, how did you stumble upon the world of not the world. I mean, it's just a kind of rare part of health or biology to get into today, especially from there. Like, how did you stumble upon light water and magnetism?
Yeah, so I think I was always gravitated to like natural healing and just like, yeah, like sort of like the traditional Chinese medicine and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just there's obviously something there if it's been practiced for,
Yeah,
5,000 plus years.
that's a good point.
Um, but I do really think like in terms of like the light water magnetism, the circadian biology, all that sort of stuff, it very much has like an esoteric component to it or like a spiritual component to it.
Sure.
And it just like it sort of just makes sense in terms of like why we're on this planet and like how everything sort of like ties together. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I got into it maybe would have been like 3 years ago now. I think,
Wow.
yeah, I think it's generally like I sort of heard about circadian rhythms and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because it's like yin yang, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Um, and then yeah, I think one time I just like found a Jack Cruz podcast or something, and I was just like, holy shit! Like, I was like, firstly, I was like, what is this guy on about? Like,
Yeah.
it just this is just too much information for me. I don't know if it's like legit or not.
Right.
And obviously, yeah, I think it like sort of tweaks a certain person's curiosity to learn more about that sort of stuff, especially how dense it can get. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's probably when I sort of started getting into it, and yeah, I'm just constantly learning about it and learning new things, and just yeah, it's just like constant Dunning-Kruger effect when it comes to learning about that sort of work, and how deep it goes, and it just sort of like adds another layer to biology,
Mm-hmm.
uh, biochemistry, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. That was a similar introduction to me as well. Through a Jack Cruz podcast. It was a 4-hour episode. I did not understand a single word that came out of his mouth, but
Is
for
it the
some
human one?
reason, yeah, for
Oh, that
some
one.
reason, I mean, I just became in love with everything he said. Even though I didn't understand anything. That started my rabbit hole.
Yeah, that podcast is very deep. I think I've probably listened to that maybe like 6 or 7 times, and I'm always
Yeah,
taking notes every time. And every time I listen
like
to it,
it's like if you listen to it for like the first time again every single time you listen to it. If that makes sense, something new to discover always.
oh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just well, I don't know how that just like comes out of his brain naturally. Like very smart man.
yeah,
But yeah, great podcast. But yeah, just very much even just getting into that space and realizing there's a lot of other people who are also
yeah.
promoting his work and sort of the work of like Gilbert Ling and all those people.
Hmm.
Very much sort of like dumbing it down, which was like really great for me too to sort of comprehend it.
Yeah, dude. There's a quote you shared. Um, I don't remember if through your Twitter or your website, which is in the same topic. Um, which is light is more important than diet. This is a huge point that's mentioned in this space specifically, with him specifically as well. Um, but there's truth to it, and I'd love for you to explain a little bit on that. And yeah,
So, I mean, I would say that the two most important things when it comes to health is going to be stress and trauma and stuff like that. That's going to be a huge roadblock. But also, like aligned with that is your environment.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think Cruz says a lot like you can't get well in the environment you got sick in, and I couldn't agree more with that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
even just like mitigation of light at night. Like just something as simple as that is changing your environment drastically. But yeah, it's just like once you sort of understand the influence of light on our body, like especially how it drives, stress response late at night. It shuts off melatonin, and then you can just almost follow that trail. It's like melatonin. If that sort of gets suppressed, then leptin's going to be affected. If
Mm-hmm.
leptin's affected, then it's going to affect your thyroid hormone. If your thyroid hormone is affected, it's going to affect your metabolism. Um, and then you've also got like melatonin working with hormone, all sort of hormones. Like it's literally like runs on the axis of just controlling everything, melatonin and
Yeah,
leptin. So yeah, you want these sort of signaling at the right time of day, and it's just like when you understand how much light is playing a role and how recent we've disrupted our environments drastically through
right.
technology, through LED lights. It's just like it's only been realistically like LED lights and technology being like really harmful is probably like the last 30 years.
Absolutely.
And the most amount of diseases, and it's just like it's just like my goal is to kind of spread that word that like food and diet is still very important. I still value that of importance, but if you're not addressing your light environment, yeah, you're kind of pissing in the wind really, and you're just kind of just working harder than you should.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that specifically. I tweeted about it today because I'm finishing the book The Body Electric by Robert O. Becker.
Good
The
book.
last chapter, he finally talks about the negative effects of like non-native and artificial electromagnetic frequencies and electromagnetic radiation. And something that kind of struck me a lot was he was talking so much about the negative effects and the negative effects being so detrimental in the 90s, right? It's
Mm.
not even comparable to
Yeah,
20 years later, right? I mean, my phone probably has more of those artificial electromagnetic frequencies in an office back in the 90s, right? And
100%.
man, it's just wild how overlooked it is, right? And it's easy to understand once you kind of understand. Like it's easy. It's easy to understand when you understand that something that's foreign for the body is very dangerous, right?
Absolutely. And it's just like a lot of this stuff isn't hard to do, like hard to mitigate, really.
Right.
Like just you know, turning your Wi-Fi off at night, turning your phone on airplane mode. You know, if you are working from home, like, and you've got access to a, you know, your router, you can use an Ethernet cable.
Yeah.
It's just like little things like this, or even just moving your office outside. You know, we know that sunlight very much helps mitigate non-native EMFs to a certain degree. So yeah, it's very much like mitigation, basically. And yeah, I mean, look, we do live in a world now where, you know, it's impossible to basically avoid toxins and chemicals in the air, in the food. You know, it's getting to that stage where it's very hard. So, you know, but it's not worth stressing over either. So it's just like you mitigate, you do the best you can.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're going to be doing better than 99% of the people because you're aware.
Yep. Starts with awareness. I love that. And talking about like mitigations, there's this post. You've posted about this topic a lot, but it's about the Schumann resonance, non-native EMF, their dangers, mitigation, but like specifically grounding through a thunderstorm. That's something that I've never even thought about. It's beautiful you wrote about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, just grounding in general is going to sort of yoke you to the Schumann resonance in a way. It's the Earth's magnetic heartbeat, you know, and that is through like solar storms, solar winds, geomagnetic storms, thunderstorms, all that sort of stuff. Anything that's sort of happening in nature, that's occurring and is interacting with the Earth is very much going to create this Schumann resonance, which is, yeah, there's certain frequencies starting with like 7.83, and sort of there's a couple of other bands there. And then it's just like a coincidence that like our brainwaves are sort of matched to that.
Right.
I don't think it's a coincidence, if you ask me. I think we're very much like attuned to nature. And yeah, like, so basically, if you are grounding, you are somewhat mitigating non-native EMF, even if it's sort of around you.
Right.
Not also the fact that, yeah, when you are grounded, you know, the Earth's got a net negative charge. So you are absorbing electrons and stuff like that as well,
Yeah.
which is going to be awesome. But yeah, during a thunderstorm. So yeah, during a thunderstorm, if you sort of see like lightning, it sort of goes upwards, right? Because there's such a buildup of the net negative charge of the Earth and then the positive ions in the clouds. So when you are grounded, even just for like 15 to 30 minutes during a thunderstorm, like before, even if it happens to be before bed, which generally happens here, like in the tropics, it's probably the same for you. It's just very much like kind of hot all day, and then all of a sudden it just like takes a turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a completely different day. You can hear it coming. But yeah, it's sort of, yeah, like you've got a higher amount of negative ions, electrons in the ground at that stage, because there is the chance of them jumping over
Yeah.
to neutralize. So yeah, you get that plus the Schumann resonance, and yeah, you just sleep. You sleep amazingly, and I think even the fact that just like the negative ions in the air as well,
Right.
at time. So it's like having a window open if you can. I mean, obviously, you don't want your room full of water if it is rainy, but
And mosquitoes.
and mosquitoes, yeah. No mosquitoes in Vietnam, which is
Oh wow.
well, I haven't seen them anyway. They haven't
Yeah.
bitten me, so that's always great. But yeah, very much helps you with a good night's sleep.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, the numbers are screaming at you that we are made to be like coherent with the Earth, right?
100%.
No
I mean, like,
coincidence. No coincidence, like you said.
if you look at every single animal, like on the planet besides us, we're like the only people that aren't outside all the time. We're the only people that aren't naked, and we're the only people that have shoes on. You know, and we're the only people that use technology to huge degrees.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and we also happen to be the most sick. So it's very much like, I think you just got to copy nature as much as you can in the modern world.
Right.
And again, it's just very much doing the best you can.
Yeah. Cruz says, "I don't need to teach this shit to hippos and lions." It's that simple.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's just they intuitively know. I mean, like, I've got cows sort of like maybe a couple of minutes driving away.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, like, you see them and they'll be in the shade like through like the harsh hours of the sunlight, and then they'll go back out, you know,
Right.
through the hours where it's a bit, you know, not as harsh. Especially here in the summer, it's probably very much like Mexico.
Yeah. What's
Similar latitude.
what UV? Oh, really? What UV are you getting?
I think we're getting like it's definitely over like 12 most days. So
Okay.
12
Yeah,
to 13, sometimes
that's good stuff.
14.
Mhm.
Is that same for you? Oh, I guess you're at a high altitude though, right?
No, but we are. Well, I mean, I mentioned this in a call a couple hours ago. Like since the middle of March to like the middle of April, we have like a whole 4 weeks, a whole month straight with over 13 to 14 UV days every single day.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's wild.
that was a beautiful, beautiful time to build the callus.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I suppose like the high altitude, right? It definitely helps.
Yeah, kind of.
Not that much. I think it's like every
I mean, for tanning and UVA, sure, but for the rest of things, not really.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's a funny one with the altitude. Like you get a lot of mixed messages. So
Yeah,
it's a bit confusing, but I think it has its benefits
yeah.
for sure in terms of like retaining oxygen, or more so like carbon dioxide and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Helping you utilize getting more bang for your buck with oxygen, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every 300 meters, I think the UV increases by 10% altitude wise,
Really,
something like that. Yeah.
I don't know that. Well, I know it
Mm.
increases UVA, but I did not know that specifically. That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's UVB or if it's specifically UVA, what's penetrating through, but yeah, I know that it just definitely enhances it.
Yeah, dude, a big topic that comes around these episodes is like finally reconnecting to nature. It brings or connects you more to intuition, right? Have you met that idea?
So, are you able to sort of rephrase that for me?
Yeah, I mean, just reconnecting more to nature, connecting more to nature. It just brings more intuition.
Intuition. Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense? Like a greater connection to God, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's wild. Like, if you were telling me like 5 years ago that I would think like the sun's the god of our universe and how much I would value nature, like I think like you know, for example, I think I literally tweeted about this yesterday that you know, 5 years ago when I was looking for a place to live,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, high rise apartment, good view of the city, lots of restaurants,
Wow.
bars, cafes around,
Yeah.
you know, everything at my doorstep sort of thing. And it's fascinating to think that, yeah, how much, you know, once your priorities shift and that deeper connection to nature, you just want to be as close to it as humanly possible. Um, so yeah, it's very much now, it's just like wanting to be as close as I can to nature, whatever that looks like, you know, being close to the beach or just having more trees than humans. You know, your human to tree ratio is better,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, just having that rawness, I think, and that's why I think I gravitated towards Vietnam and places like this because you know you got chickens just like you know roosting and stuff, making sounds in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. You hear the cows mooing. And then you had all the birds chirping and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like it keeps you grounded, I think. And yeah, in terms of like the connection with God and stuff like that, it's only something that I've recently sort of started to really take to the next level, I suppose. Like I had a friend that I was traveling through Mexico with 2 months ago, and he was very much praying and stuff like that. And I was kind of curious, like, because I never really did it. It's like, okay, so what's the go here? What are you doing? And he's just like, yeah, you just speak from the heart, comes organically, takes like a minute or so, just sort of adds another layer. And yeah, I very much just do that as the sun rises and the sun sets, because at the end of the day, like that's what's given us all life, like, you know. And there's a reason why the Incas and the Egyptians and stuff like that very much thought it was a god too. And to
Right.
me, it makes a lot of sense from like, you know, what we sort of know about light, water, and magnetism and stuff like that.
Right. So, what is your current understanding of God?
So for me, I think it's just God is the sun. So yeah, for me, like, I mean, I haven't read the Bible. I haven't read
Sure.
any of that stuff.
Hmm.
So it's very much like base level knowledge to me and just my intuition behind it. So yeah, I think like the
Hmm.
sun is very much like a god to me. Like it's giving us all life. Um,
Yeah.
it's fueling the plants. It's fueling us. Um, and I think the fact that it's healing as well. You know, and also the fact that like at sunrise and sunset is just like the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. Sometimes,
It
and
is.
like
Yeah.
I always sort of think like when I was like, if imagine if you were like um in like the paleo era or something, like as a caveman sort of thing, or just like like a hunter and gatherer, you know before you even understood the concept of the sun, and then you see like this beautiful sunset, you just be like,
Oh my
holy
God.
shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a great point. Yeah.
yeah. And you just like no reason, there's it's just like makes so much sense that they worship it, because it's
Yeah.
just like a very beautiful big thing.
Dude, and they understood very well, and I'm so sure that they understood that better than us, that of the benefits and the power the sun had for us, right? Um, and yeah, I always say like it's more than just the physical benefits. There is also a benefit from the beauty of a sunrise and a sunset. It is mesmerizing, right?
It's really beautiful. And yeah, I think it's like the fact that the modern world sort of demonizes it. It's kind of like taking away God from us, essentially.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, it is beautiful. And it's like, it's almost just like, it's doing that just to like show that, yeah, hey, I'm pretty cool. Like I can do this cool shit, and you should sit under me during the day and
Hmm.
appreciate me.
Life is too short. Quit your job and travel the world. You kind of said that at the start. What has been your biggest takeaway with your travel?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
And
Uh,
should I do the same?
Yes, I mean, like, look, if you're in the right state of mind, you obviously need some sort of backup
Of
savings and
course.
stuff. Uh, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I think everyone should do it. Especially like depends if you're happy and stuff like that with your work, which a lot of people are just kind of like plodding along. Um, but then, I mean, like, there's context there. Like, there's people with families and stuff, so it is a lot more difficult. I'm fortunate that I've got a bit of freedom. But yeah, I mean, like, I think just this is like kind of like the first time I did a big trip where I've had a bit more of an open mind. I think like the last few holidays I went to were like a couple of years back before COVID, and it was very much just like thinking about drugs, alcohol, women,
Well,
all
yeah, it's
that
a big
shit.
change.
Just very much not being absorbed in the culture and understanding how they live. Um, so yeah, it's interesting just to like sort of take it all in and sort of like take notes of everything and kind of like put it into my own practice as a health coach as well.
Right.
um Learning and understanding the way they live and stuff like that. And yeah, you can definitely take a lot from these countries because they're just so different to the Western world.
Hmm. Dude, if you mind me getting into this, I think something that you've repeated a lot, or a topic that you repeated a lot in these 30 minutes, have been like stress and trauma. Um, is there a reason why?
Why for me?
Yeah, you mentioned it. Yeah.
um yeah, look, I was fortunate that I didn't have like any sort of like really hectic trauma per se. Um, Definitely just like a lot of stress and anxiety that built up over the years that I just did not deal with whatsoever.
Hmm.
And I suppose the more you kind of repress it, the more you realize that your other health issues start arising. Um, but yeah, I mean, like working with my clients and stuff like that, I've noticed it's just a huge roadblock. Um, it's just massive. Like it's one of the biggest things, and I think it doesn't really get spoken about enough on the Twitter space. That
Absolutely.
yeah, like even just like the fact of people, you know, you've got certain people online that are micromanaging their diet and stuff like that, and that's just like a huge stress that you're just like worrying about something that's
Right.
not worth worrying about, you know. And that could be stemmed from other things like, you know, in childhood and stuff like that, where you just have that sort of like behavior,
Hmm.
basically. And then, yeah, also the fact I've done a fair bit of research on it and stuff like that, and just understanding how huge of a role it plays. Yeah, it's just like a massive roadblock. And I think in the modern world, you know, we not only have people like robbing our dopamine, but we have a lot of people robbing our self-esteem as well, which I think is like such a huge
Mm.
thing.
Wow.
Makes you sort of think about yourself, always second guess how you look both like, you know, like physically, like weight and like facial features, just everything, you know. And yeah, we sort of created this society of like perfectionism where it's just very much like we should be enforcing or encouraging, you know, like being happy within yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is how, I mean, this is one of the, like the principles of the podcast and its existence. Um, they take your soul and your money and your mind, destroying your dopamine and your self esteem. Something that I completely relate to.
Yeah, it's 100%. And it's just, yeah, it's just like, I think it almost like it's hard to see it, like, but then once you sort of like take a step out, you're like, wow, like
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
everywhere. It is literally everywhere. It is out to get you everywhere. And I think that's like being able to, you know, sometimes, you know, obviously we use technology and stuff as well. And it's good to sort of leverage that and flex it, I suppose, that, you know, you can use it, but you understand that it needs to be offset by being outside or,
Right.
you know, like having a good night's sleep or whatever it is. It's just very much offsetting that. And yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that, but
No worries, bro. For my last question, um, what brings you most joy in life?
uh, nature's a big one. Friends, family, like just being around loved ones, laughter is a huge one. I think laughing and smiling, I think is just like so powerful. Emotions in general, really, like just being able to embrace the emotions at certain situations, um, you know, and then yeah, just having a purpose as well. I think like it just fuels you every single day like nothing else.
Right.
Uh,
What's your purpose?
I think my purpose, I think it definitely just like shifts throughout your life, but it's
Of
very
course.
much sort of similar. Yeah, my purpose at the moment is just to like help people, educate people through my coaching and stuff like that. Also, yeah, just writing stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. Just getting like my life experiences out there, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, just trying to help people or inspire people more or less.
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Jack. Yeah, dude. It was a quick one, but that was really, really nice. Really nice, and I appreciate you so much, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Those questions are actually awesome. They were really good. Sort of, yeah, deep questions, you know, going beyond sort of just like the regular health sort of stuff. I think it's important to shows people's true character when you're asking those sort of questions. So good job.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Much love, and I hope we can make a part two happen over there.
Sounds good, brother. Lock it in.
I'll meet you
Um,
there.
awesome. Done deal.